card tutorial that is start to finish, featuring easy masking without needing to use paper or liquid masking. So this is a card we're going to make today, and I'm going to be masking that little snowman while I ink up around him. So let's get our materials together and let's get started. Sorry about the lighting. I had to film at night, so it kind of goes wonky at the beginning, but it does get better as the video progresses. So I am prepping my card layers that I'm going to use. I'm going to be stamping the little snowman from Darcie's Christmas Wishes stamp set with Memento gray flannel. And I sped up the video quite a bit, definitely in certain sections, because otherwise, you know, I am the world's slowest card maker, so we would be here for about an hour video. I'm using this AmyR Snowflakes stamp set, which is no longer made, but there are so many really cute snowflake stamps out there that you could use. So I am taking Versamark ink and inking up the little snowflakes that I want around the little snowman. And I'm going to be white embossing with some Hero Arts white embossing powder, which is really great white embossing powder. Okay, so I've heat embossed it off camera. Now I'm going to walk through the Copic coloring, and I have the colors that I'm using on screen. And so starting with my darkest color, it's YG17, my mid-tone is YG13, and my light tone is YG11. I tend to work in threes when I color. I don't think I do anything crazy, but the way that I do things is I usually start with my darkest color because I do like contrast. So setting up my dark tones first helps me to, you know, keep more consistent with that contrast. Another thing that I do when I color is I don't go over my other colors with lighter colors. In other words, when I color, I pull the very end of one color and I pull it with my middle tone. I pull it up with my middle tone, and then wherever I left off my middle tone, I pull the edge up with my light tone, and I hope that makes sense. So I don't, you know, and again, in order to preserve that contrast. And so I just basically pull on the very edges of the previous color so that I can keep the contrast. And it's just personal preference. There's many ways to color, and just this is kind of how I've been coloring, and it's kind of what works for me. So again, I'm just kind of going over, and the thing with Copics, if you color as well, you know it's always about going back and adding layers and adding layers. So again, little nose is really small, but I'm a creature of habit, so I'm used to using 3 colors no matter how small it is. So now I'm moving on to the little branches. I'm using E59, E57, and E55. It's a really small image again, but like I said, I like threes, and so I tend to use threes no matter how small the space is. And again, I don't really go over any colors, I just blend from the edges. I colored the scarf already, and I just colored the same way using the same colors. Now I'm coloring the shadows for the little snowman, and this is what makes white one of the easiest colors to color, because you're going to keep most of the image white. Now I'm using Distress Glaze and it looks like vapor rub, so you may want to put it under your nose, but don't. This is for masking. So you're going to take and you're going to evenly spread the glaze on the image that you want to protect. And so I have found that just really spreading it evenly, and I use this little fine tip, Q-tip, to get into those really tiny edges that my fingers just can't get to. Then you take a clean paper towel and I buff it, and I try not to go outside of the image, because then you tend to get like a halo shadow because it will mask outside of it too. Now I'm going to start my ink blending, and I'm starting off with tumbled glass, and I do go all the way to the edge of my little snowman, and the glaze kind of keeps it protected from getting any ink on it. But you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to just start blending like a crazy person, because it will only protect it so much. So you do want to be a little gentle when you go near your image, but it will protect it. Now, the thing about I have found about ink blending is that you really want to have a light touch. Oh, and I'm just showing you that it's still white. You really want to have a light touch, and that's something I struggle with because I have a lead foot and a heavy hand. So it's very hard for me to be gentle, and that's something that I need to work on as I continue to ink blend. But I love the look of ink blending, so it's something that I will continue to practice. Now I'm moving on to my third ink, which is Blueprint Sketch. The second one was Mermaid Lagoon. And I just love the way these two colors pair up, because when these two colors blend together, it creates this tanzanite color. And if you're a gem lover like me, you know how beautiful tanzanite is. And so I just really, really like that combination. And again, ink blending is like Copic. So you got to go back and add more layers and add more layers and blend. And so that's what I'm doing here. Okay, so this little guy's ready. Now I'm ready to work on the background. So I've kind of laid out my little snowflakes kind of how I want them. And so I'm prepping my surface with my anti-static tool, Embossing Buddy. I'm inking up the little snowflakes with the Versamark ink. And then I'm going to stamp them all at once, which will save time. Now I'm going to put some white embossing powder from Hero Arts. And I'm going to heat set it off camera again. Okay, so now I'm going to start ink blending again, and I'm going to use the same colors that I used on the smaller panel. And to me, I love doing this because it's like magic when your embossed images appear. It's so fun. So I'm using the same colors again, starting off with Tumbled Glass, then adding Mermaid Lagoon, and then adding Blueprint Sketch. And I don't need to go all the way to the middle because my top panel is going to be covering up some of that. So again, going back and forth and blending the colors. Now for my sentiment, I'm using a Hero Arts stamp set called Very Merry Christmas. I'm prepping my surface, and I'm going to be stamping it in Versamark ink because I'm going to be heat embossing it in silver detail embossing powder. So it's really, really shiny and pretty. I'm taking these two threads, and then I'm going to be scooching it over and adding my little front panel to the top. I'm going to prep my card base, which is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 tall. Adding adhesive to the back with my ATG gun. And then I'm going to attach this to the card base. I've added some foam adhesive to the back to pop it up a bit. Then I'm going to add some diamond stickles to create the little snowbank and have it glittery. Okay, and then I added some little sequins. These are the clear from Pretty Pink Posh. And then my card is done. So here is my final card. I hope that you enjoyed. And I have a little oopsie to share with you. Thanks so much for peeking, and I'll see you next time. Have a great and wonderful happy holiday season. Bye.